Alrighty, here you go. Welcome to episode 59. I even put it in correctly, Har. 59, right on the nose.
Wow. How about that?
First time. First time, long time, Har.
Yeah, the NFL post NFL draft episode
Yeah.
of Geez.
Well, before we get to that, let's we didn't even talk about this, but I think what we're gonna do is do a couple of shorter form episodes per week.
Oh, okay.
Instead of just some weeks we might only do one, but
Yeah.
In July when there isn't anything going on.
Right.
But maybe we'll just pop in and do some shorter form episodes as well. Like there's a little urgency today with, as you mentioned, the NFL draft in the rear view. And it was certainly a very big happening in Philadelphia. And then, obviously the Stanley Cup playoffs, Bruins go down, Cup champ Colorado goes down. So there's some things to talk about here on the program today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was thoroughly entrenched with the NFL draft. I mean, because I'm down here at my mom's and she doesn't have the greatest television setup. This isn't, this is about 180 degrees from my setup at home, where I've got all the screens and I've got all the packages, and I can basically, if there's something on, I can see it. Here it's like if it's on a couple of the handful of over-the-air channels, like she doesn't even have cable.
Wow.
And she doesn't even want me to buy it for her. Like I offered to get her some $59.99 a month kind of package, and that way, whenever I do come down here, I can at least see some sports.
Yeah.
But so it's really hit and miss. And thank goodness that they had this draft on 3 different networks, and one of them was ABC over the air. So Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday, I was able to take in some draft. In fact, I watched the whole thing from stem to stern on Thursday night and Friday night. And then on Saturday, I watched a little bit of it, like the 4th round, which was the first round of that day. I can't go through 5, 6, and 7. I mean, regardless,
it gets ridiculous,
but it does. It gets a little tedious. And I watch a lot of college football, like more than most. And even, 5th, 6th, and 7th round, it's sort of like you're like, yeah, I remember watching that guy, but is he going to make the team? Like at that point, you're sort of grasping at straws. But man, I tell you, the Eagles and Howie Roseman finally, over these last couple of seasons have finally figured it out, because it ain't that fucking hard.
No.
Okay. It's not rocket science. Go draft the players of need from the best schools and the best conference in college football and just be done with it. Okay.
Yep.
And basically, over the last couple of years, they've now assembled essentially an SEC all-star team between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, I saw Crossing Broad did a great thing too, and they probably should have added the A in Alabama, that script read A, because they had E, A, and then the Georgia G in there with LES. And it's no joke. I mean, they got 4 players from Georgia, including the trade, which I thought was brilliant. They get DeAndre Swift, who has 1 year left on a contract and only $1.7 million against the cap. He's a Philly kid too. He went to St. Joe Prep, coming home for a year, see what he's got. And, you add that with Rashad Penny that they picked up in free agency a couple of months ago. It's a month and a half ago, whatever it was. He's got a year left at $1.2 million. So they got 2 quality backs. I know Penny gets hurt a lot, and there's no guarantees he's going to play 16, 17 games.
There's no risk.
But right. I mean, you're barely paying these guys. And if they do play, both of them are incredibly capable of making a lot of big plays. So I thought it was a genius. That was genius. The whole sort of
$2.9 million committed to those 2 players, huh?
Right. I mean, the whole running back room thing is really genius, because they re-signed Boston Scott, and you still got Kenny Gainwell in there. You got 4 really quality players that they can alternate in, and they can do all different types of versatility, bring a lot of versatility to your offense. I thought it was genius. And then what they do in the first round, and we talked about this for a couple of weeks prior, that, one of the things that they could do is, as they're sitting there watching the board unfold, and when you had 3 quarterbacks go in the first 4 picks, you're like, that's going to shove a couple of these players down a peg or 2, and they might be there for the Eagles. Or lo and behold, maybe they only have to trade up a slot or 2 to get a guy that they really covet. And they did it. They slid up one spot, I guess, just to make sure in case somebody else was going to slide in there with the Bears to take Jalen Carter, the big defensive tackle from Georgia. The guy's a beast. And I know he was involved in some off the field issues with that tragic car accident and so forth. And there might be some other clutter around him too, but man, they get him right mentally as far as him committing to playing football and just going about his business. The guy can take over football games. So I thought that was genius. Then they sat with their second first round pick and let the board come to them. And lo and behold, there's Nolan Smith for outside linebacker, edge guy from Georgia, is sitting there. And Howie's like, you know what? I'm not going to outthink myself. I'm going to take Nolan Smith from Georgia. Yep. You know what I mean?
You're so right, Harry, because, I was never a big Howie fan because I thought he was a guy that was always trying to prove himself as being the smartest guy in the room.
Exactly.
And when you get to that point in life or whatever you do where you're done trying to prove things is when you've really hit your stride.
Yeah.
And look, the last linebacker they drafted in the first round was in the early 80s.
1979, I believe.
Was it? It was okay. So it was.
I think it was 79. Robinson out of UCLA comes to mind, and I think that's the guy.
And that's because Dick
Vermeil was here. Yes, and he played for him at UCLA. Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, there's some hard and fast rules that I totally agree with you on. In a first round of a draft, you cannot fuck around. Mm-hmm. You do not draft a guy from a school that's more known for basketball or academics than it is football. You draft an SEC guy, right? Because you want the best guarantee and a great player, and they got it. And look, I know Jalen, he's got that baggage around him, but he's also being drafted into a team that has got a very defined culture and a DNA.
Yeah.
And if he's going to go anywhere and fall in line, it's here. So the risk, I think, a lot of people are saying he's the best player, most impactful player in the draft.
Oh yeah.
And he's not even a quarterback.
No doubt about it. And I think he will fall in. I think I don't think they'll have any problems with him. I really don't. Nolan Smith, a great pick. They're coming in, they're joining some of their teammates. I mean, they're really assembling. These are guys that have won 1 or 2 national championships and SEC championships, which is basically pro football light in college football. So there's really low risk. They took Tyler Steen, then the guard tackle from Alabama in the second round, and we can always use an offensive lineman. Geez,
totally agree. We talked about that last week.
Yeah, we talked about that, and then they get Sidney Brown from Illinois, a safety. 3 of the 4 defensive backs from the University of Illinois were taken in like the first 60 picks, including Witherspoon, who went early to Seattle. So. Brown, his brother, was the really good running back, I believe, at Illinois that got hurt at the end of the year. He was leading the Big Ten at one point in rushing.
Wow.
So who knows? Maybe they picked him up. I didn't even check their undrafted free agents. I don't know. Maybe they picked a guy up like that.
Usually takes a couple of days. That's this week. Those things will happen.
Yeah, I think they've already named a couple. I think they probably have a couple of them because it usually happens the day after the draft ends. But then they get Kaylee Ringo, the cornerback from Georgia, in what was that, the 3rd or 4th round? I think it might have been the 4th round, early in the 4th round. And he's just sitting there, and Howie's like, you know what? We can always use another cornerback. Let's go get him. It's not that hard
because we can really develop those guys in the NFL too.
Yes. Yep. So I thought they did tremendous. They might have won the draft.
Yeah, which doesn't win you shit unless it all pans out. But look, it's important for a team that is going to now be paying their quarterback the second highest salary in NFL history to get significant contributions from guys on rookie deals.
Right.
It's just the fact of the matter.
Yep. And,
from the way it looks and the way it's lauded, that they did very well. Time will tell ultimately if they did. But my Howie hate has subsided because I can't deny the fact that the guy's doing a really good job while there are other general managers in this city that I thought were doing a good job, didn't, like Ron Hextall.
Now, Howie might be kicked out forever for a lifetime ban from the University of Florida Gator Alumni Association for taking all these Georgia Bulldogs and Alabama Crimson Tide
Good
players.
point.
But who cares?
Yeah.
He wins another Super Bowl and gets another parade. Who cares? But I kid. But it's just like he finally. I don't know if there was some light bulb that went on a year or two ago or whatever it was, but it's just like let's quit trying to be the smartest guy. Like you mentioned, you and I used to talk about that when we did the show many times. And I always thought that it was sort of this like thing. I'm out here to prove that I belong. I'm a football guy and all this kind of stuff that we used to laugh about.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, you know what? Screw it. I am a football guy. I watch the SEC and I'm taking that guy.
Yeah.
Like it's that easy.
Because when Howie has time to sit down and watch college football, just absorb it, he doesn't have time to be messing around with Duke.
No.
You know what I mean?
I'd like to watch a game with Howie, like a Saturday afternoon, in the SEC 3:30 game.
Yeah, maybe fascinating just to hear what they think about, what they see, what they notice.
It actually would be
yeah.
But what was your overall thoughts on the draft? I mean, I thought Kansas City did a decent job. I mean, how many times can they run out Eric Stone Street?
Yeah. Well, the thing is I thought good teams did well.
No, I'm talking about the presentation of the draft, like from a Kansas City perspective. Eric Stone Street's the actor that was in Modern Family.
Yeah.
That very successful show. And he's from Kansas City, went to Kansas State, and he's a big Chiefs guy. He was on TV 3 straight days.
Yeah.
3 straight days.
I think it's overproduced now, Harry. The whole walking out the door, putting on the hat, mugging, and then walking across, and the hug thing with
bro
Goodell.
hug.
He's got handshakes with guys. Like,
I know.
It's all a little uncomfortable for me.
I'm okay with the broker, dude. One of these guys, I forget who it was, like really picked him up. I thought he was going to suplex him.
Yeah, that would have been that guy would have been the MVP.
I mean, Goodell's a big dude. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he doesn't look tiny next to those guys. You're right.
No, he doesn't. He does.
It's like if you're the commissioner of the NBA and you're doing that, you can't be 5'9".
No.
You'll look like a munchkin.
Exactly. Well, I mean, and David Stern was.
Yeah.
I mean,
like Adam Silver at least looks long. Like he's got length.
He's unfortunate looking, but he looks like a taller fella. But man, 12
That's
million.
the line of the podcast. Adam Silver is unfortunate.
Yeah, he's an unfortunate looking fella.
I gotta write that down.
Over 12 million viewers apparently over the 3 networks on Thursday night alone.
Wow,
I saw
that's not shocking though.
No, it's not. I mean,
it's high drama.
Yeah, it really is. And some people were texting me saying they're over it. They're getting tired of it. I'm like, Harry, what do you mean you're getting tired of it? Are you tired of football? Because here it is late April and we're getting 2 or 3 straight days of football.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's a sport that has just found a way that when nothing's happening to make something happen, that's a spectacle.
Right.
Like
and now next
like I say, it's overproduced. But
so
yeah.
Right.
I mean, for the first time this weekend, I saw what could have solved your TV problem, by the way, is YouTube TV, because you can travel to anywhere and get your channels. But they did the triple screen. They had all 3, they had ESPN, NFL Network, and I guess it was ABC on a triple screen as a channel.
Right.
And you just click on the one that you want the volume on.
Okay.
But you had all 3 on there. Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm really enjoying the YouTube TV for the sports things, and that triple cast thing is going to be something and quadcast too, that you're going to be able to do with multiple channels permanently, where you can on a football Sunday, if you can get 4 games or you have you can put all 4 games on one TV.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I might have to look into that before the season.
And you're going to have you can also have a main one with 3 going down the side.
Ah.
So the one's bigger, your feature. And then you have the 3 other games, and you can just flip between them. If you see teams in the red zone,
you can toggle. It's a toggle.
Yeah.
I'm
a big fan of the toggle.
It's a toggle.
You learn that after many years of marriage, how to toggle on your own.
Right. Reese Davis was the traffic cop for the draft on ABC for the 3 days. I think he does a tremendous job.
Agreed.
Much prefer him. There's no way, even if I could have gotten cable, was I going to ESPN and taking anything of Greenberg. have been
You're
out
out.
for years on Greenberg. When I refused to go meet him when they came to do one of the morning shows in Philadelphia that time, that pissed off the program director.
Yeah.
He was not happy with me.
Well, he wasn't going to shake anybody. He's going to give the fist bump, and he's just
Well, I'm not.
I don't even want your kind of guy.
No, I don't even want to be in his presence. And the guy likes golf too. I mean, he plays golf. I couldn't care less. But yeah, he said, I mean, do you want to go meet Mike and Mike? And I go, no, I'll pass.
Yeah.
And he gave me that look. He's not happy.
What do you mean?
I mean, I don't know what. Is he on the team or what?
One Mike's enough.
Right, exactly. But
you got Missinelli. That's enough.
Exactly. I dealt with him on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But they also had this gal from Saturday Night Live that was a Kansas City person that grew up there, and blonde. She was kind of cute. I don't know her name, but she came on a couple of times Thursday and Friday night. Did you happen to see her?
I did not.
She's
I was immersed
comedian.
more in the NHL playoffs, Harold.
Okay.
Honesty.
Yeah, okay.
But I was toggling.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to the NHL playoffs. And it's not the NHL playoffs. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. I looked at Egan, our guy Egan, put out a tweet in the last 24 hours, something about the playoffs, and said the NHL playoffs. I'm like, what do you mean? It's the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah,
that's a standalone name.
You make a good point. I saw the tweet that you're referring to. I'm bringing it up now.
Okay.
Because, Jesus, what is going on in my garage?
I don't know.
He put something up about how the Stanley Cup, well, he called it the NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
He said the NHL playoffs is untouched. You've got a number 8 seed tying a game 7 with a minute left against a record-setting number 1 seed descended to OT. There's playoff hockey, and then everything else battling for second.
I mean, I agree with the sentiment of the tweet, but it should have been Stanley Cup playoffs if he's such a hockey devotee like he claims to be.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's not just semantics, because the reason why the game is so different between what you see in the regular season and the playoffs is because of that first two words you mentioned, the Stanley Cup.
Exactly. I mean, they don't call the NFL playoffs the Lombardi Trophy playoffs.
No.
They don't call it what was this? The O'Brien Trophy. Isn't it O'Brien, the NBA?
Larry
the old
O'Brien.
Commissioner, Larry O'Brien Trophy. Yeah, they don't call it that. But the Stanley Cup has its own, it's a brand.
Yeah, it is. And it's got a presence to it more than any other trophy in sport.
Exactly.
And it's been fascinating. We'll get to it, but I just kind of want to wrap up on the Eagles. So, a lot of people saying, you look at the AFC, there's a good amount of good teams, but then you look at the NFC and the Eagles are just head and shoulders, above everybody else. Now their futures don't indicate that so much, because the 49ers the futures for the Super Bowl next year. Kansas City's at plus 600. The Eagles are at plus 850. San Francisco's at plus 950.
Okay.
Then the Bills at 900 and the Bengals at 1,000. And then the Jets all the way up to plus 4.
Well, yeah, because we had the Aaron Rodgers thing, which we didn't talk about.
But he hasn't done dick in the playoffs in years.
No, but was that done by the time we did the show last week?
I don't think it was done.
I don't think it was done.
It's done now.
Yeah, it's done now. In fact, he was at the Knicks game yesterday. He's doing the whole celebrity thing, probably going on all the late night talk shows and all that kind of stuff, living that New York life. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't care less about the Jets. They'll still find a way to fuck it up if you ask me.
Yep.
But taking him out of Green Bay, I mean, that's significant. You look at that division is going to be crazy, because I think Detroit has been vastly improved, although I scratched my head at some of the things they did in the draft. But Detroit's improved. They're on the come. Chicago, I think, has done a pretty nice job. It just all depends on if that quarterback, can make enough plays and not turn the ball over. They'll be a threat. And then, Minnesota, they add another big time wide receiver to that arsenal that Kirk Cousins has. They can make some waves, and who knows what Green Bay is, because I think Green Bay, their roster outside of the question of quarterback is pretty solid.
Yeah.
So if Love
that's a huge question mark. Yeah.
It is. But they'll find out in the first 6-7 weeks this year. But it's going to be very interesting. But it makes it a lot easier, if you ask me, on paper for the Eagles.
Yeah, it does.
It really does.
The path is kind of laid there. I mean, look, we're sitting here on May 1st, but
yeah,
the path. Look, they were a good team before the draft, and they've
Mhm.
set themselves up for even longer sustainability, which is probably the hardest thing to do in the NFL.
It
Because
is.
guys jump.
Now, what did you think of the three quarterbacks went in the first 4 picks? The Texans trade up and went back-to-back second and third, took Will Anderson, the great linebacker from Alabama, and then they got their quarterback, Stroud from Ohio State. Then you'd see the Colts taking AR-15 out of Florida, who could be the biggest boom or bust pick in the draft because he could be awesome or he could be, Jamarcus Russell. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting, and I just want to get your thoughts on that.
I was really taken back at the number 1 overall pick at Bryce because Bryce Young looks so small.
Diminutive.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've seen him play, and I've seen him in equipment, and I wasn't expecting him to be so slight.
Yeah, he is, but he's very elusive. He's so instinctual. Very great instincts. Great leader. I think he's going to be all right. I really do, and I think they got a good player in Carolina. But now, did you notice this? I love how the narratives start coming out, and then of course, starting the next Monday, this whole week, they're going to be repeating it ad nauseum on all those shows on ESPN and Fox. Shane Steichen, the new head coach in Indianapolis, former Eagles offensive coordinator for a blink of an eye, is now all of a sudden being spoken about like a quarterback whisperer, like he's freaking Bruce Arians. Okay, because now Anthony Richardson, AR-15 was Shane Steichen. Can you imagine? Oh, they're just this guy has done nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing
yet. They love these storylines. They love anointing people, don't they?
Yeah.
And then after you anoint them, they love tearing them to shreds.
Jesus. I tweeted the other day, since when did Shane Steichen become Bruce Arians? Like, I don't know. It's just funny.
But there is always a rush to anoint.
Oh, yeah.
If you're right, I was the first.
Then you're a genius. You were the first one. Yep.
Yeah. You're the anointed prognosticator.
Right. I thought the Steelers did well in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. I'm not used to them not being a great team, though.
I know, but they're kind of in a little reset mode. Right now, but they got the big lineman out of Georgia. Again, draft SEC. It's hard to go wrong. They took Porter Jr. out of Penn State with the first pick in the second round. The cornerback
there.
Yeah. I know, but I was kind of surprised he actually slipped to the second round. I kind of thought he'd go in the back part of the first round. And then they took a big defensive tackle from Wisconsin. That was their first and second round. I thought Seattle did a really nice job. They had a lot of picks. They took Witherspoon, the cornerback, really high in the top 10 from Illinois. Smith and Jigba, the wide receiver from Ohio State. That's another thing. Wide receiver from Ohio State, hard to go wrong. He was hurt most of the year. He missed, I think he only played the first 2 or 3 games of the year and then had a hamstring all year, but he's going to be a stud. Linebacker out of Auburn, Hall, and then they got Charbonnet, the running back that was at Michigan and transferred to UCLA and played for Chip Kelly, who I've seen a lot of. He's a really good back. I thought Seattle did really well in the first couple of rounds.
Well, I look at Pittsburgh and I go, okay, that's another team that knows their DNA. They know what they're drafting.
Yep.
And they don't mess around. You got to check the boxes of the DNA, and if you don't check them or they take a risk on you and you don't fit in, you go bye-bye.
Right.
Gonzo.
Yeah. And how about the Cowboys? They took that defensive tackle from Michigan in the first round.
Yeah.
And then they took the Michigan tight end in the second round, Schoonmaker. What a great name that's is.
Awesome name.
Isn't it great?
Schoonmaker.
Schoonmaker.
That is a great name.
Yeah. I like this one kid they got, the defensive end from San Jose State, Fehoko. He looks like a player to me. A guy that could just wreck shit.
Now that the draft is over, free agency is come and gone. The draft is over. It's about OTAs and then mini camp, and then that, I guess, 5-week period of dead time where teams just hope their guys don't get into trouble or get hurt or anything happen. But is this about the time when you add the NFL and the schedule? I think is coming out next week on May 11th.
That's the next thing is the schedule release, which I think is next week sometime.
And that's really when you put it in the NFL countdown app to start counting down the days to training camp in the season.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I've already got it in for college football, but yeah, the NFL will be once the schedule release date comes out. That's always that's sort of that last day of the spring, with the NFL, and then you're just sort of waiting until training camp. But what do you think? The Commanders, I should say, Washington. They took a cornerback in the first round. He's 160 pounds.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem plausible to me.
Emmanuel Forbes. He's a ball hawk bar none.
Yeah,
but he's got to put on about 20, 25 pounds, if you ask me. But it could be a great pick. And then they got another cornerback out of Illinois. I told you Illinois had 3 defensive backs taken in the first 60 picks. They took a big center out of Arkansas, who I really like. And they strengthened themselves, in the offensive line, the defense. I thought the rest of the division, nothing real flashy. I mean, the Giants took Banks, the cornerback from Maryland, who they think fits exactly what they want to do in the first round, fits their defense. They got a couple of offensive linemen. They did get the burner wide receiver Hyatt out of Tennessee, which I thought was kind of an interesting pick. The rest of the division, not a lot of flash, just sort of like some sort of boring ho-hum, substance, I thought.
Yeah, but the problem is those teams don't have the biggest question mark or check mark you need, and that's
the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't, it's real simple in the NFL. If you have a franchise quarterback and you don't have that box to check, you are so far ahead of the teams that are trying to find it.
Yeah,
you just are, because you can use your first round pick on an offensive lineman to protect
luxury.
Yeah.
Luxury picks. Yeah.
If you're looking for that guy, man, you are just kind of spinning your wheels until you get him. And you can take guys high in the draft, and that's not a guarantee of anything.
No. All right, let's get to
a lot of it in the NFL too is so much about did the guy get drafted by the right team?
That's true. There's certain destinations that are better
Jamarcus
for some of these guys. Right. Yeah, he went to the Raiders, didn't he?
Went to the Raiders, just didn't work. And had he gone to the Patriots or a different situation, maybe it would have worked.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that happens in the NBA too.
Totally
agree. Big part of it is where they go. But the official sponsor of Not For Long Media and the Odgies podcast is the Original Fudge Kitchen. It's a staple down at the Jersey Shore. Shore season coming around soon. Also got Mother's Day coming up in a couple of days actually right now. Time to get your order in. 6 locations: Cape May, Wildwood, Stone Harbor, and Ocean City. The Original Fudge Kitchen makes all of their fudge and sweet treats right in the store, guaranteeing a delicious product. Stop by and let them know that N4L sent you. If you're not able to visit in person, not a problem. They ship across the USA. Check them out at fudgekitchens.com. The Original Fudge Kitchen, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. Stanley Cup playoffs, is that where you want to go now?
Yeah, Fudge Kitchen real quick. I got the countdown app already. I'm looking forward to the vacation. We're going down to Ocean City, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing the last week leading, I think it's like the 25th, I want to say, or 24th of June to July 1st, that week right before, 2 weeks after the kids get out of school, go down the shore it's perfect. I can't wait. I'm so excited to go down. Now, we did Maryland last year. We're doing OC New Jersey this year.
You gotta let the people know, like, give us a typical day with you and the old lady out on the beach, from getting up, going to the beach with all the kids. What is your typical? Do you just sit there under the umbrella all day with your?
I'm in the water with the kids.
Oh, you're in the water. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I get my youngest daughter's she's 11 now. She'll be turning 12 over that vacation. But she likes when I'm in there with her, so I'm in there, boogie boarding, and likes to surf. So
now, do you wear a t-shirt? Do you wear like a long sleeve shirt?
I have one of those sun shirts
that
I wear because I got to protect the tattoos, and I'm fair skinned,
right?
Being an Irishman, so
I
don't want to mess around with the melanoma.
Do you wear the bucket hat?
I do. I have the black one. It's right outside the door here. As a matter of fact.
So you got the bucket hat on, and you got the sunglasses, the big sunglasses, and then you got the sun shirt on. And some long clam diggers. You do the clam diggers or what?
No, I don't go to them. As a shorter guy, if I wear the clam diggers that come down around the knee or below,
that's a rough look.
Stump.
Yeah, that's a rough look. I agree. I'm glad. I'm testing you there because I agree with you.
I like to show off the quads, Har.
Uh-huh.
Sun's out, quads out.
Exactly. There you go. All right. Now, last night there were 2 game 7s in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the low seed, the 8 seeds, took out the 1 seeds on the road in both the East and the West.
Yeah, here it was a fascinating day in the NHL because you had a historic team in the regular season, the Bruins, who finished with 135 points,
right,
facing a Florida team, by the way, who won the President's Trophy last year and got knocked out in the second round. But they come into this series, Tampa goes up 3-1, or not Tampa, Boston, and you figure, okay, they're going to win this series, no problem.
Right.
But this Florida team, behind the attitude of Matthew Tkachuk, just was resilient, and they finally got Boston to a position that was really uncomfortable. And look, Florida goes up 2-0 in that game 7.
Yeah.
And Boston comes back.
Boston came back and tied it and took a 3-2 lead and held that lead until about the final minute of the third period, right?
Only pulled.
Yeah.
And, Tkachuk making that play there in front of Swayman. I thought it was a huge mistake by Jim Montgomery to play Swayman in game 7 and not go with the guy who's going to win the Vezina and Linus Ullmark. I thought that was a huge mistake. I think it sent a panic signal right to his team right away. And, it just shows you that. I mean, look, the difference in regular season standings points was 43 standings points, 135 to 92. I mean, and the team that had the 92 in Florida wins the series.
Amazing.
I mean, it's the end for Therese Bergeron too.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, he was hurt too. Missed a couple of games. Had a great career. But I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago that I think only 8 times in the last 40 years has the team with the best record in the regular season, the President's Trophy winner, gone on and won the cup.
Yeah, just doesn't happen, Harry.
No, it just doesn't happen. Now, what happened out west with the Kraken?
Well, the Kraken are a team that doesn't have the big name superstars. They're kind of built in a lot of ways like Las Vegas, where they're a team that doesn't have that pronounced top line, like the perfection line with Boston, Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak.
Right.
But they have 3 number 2 lines, and their depth kills you. And Colorado just couldn't handle the depth.
Wow.
Their good players were good. I thought McKinnon was good. Rantanen was good. Makar was good, even though he missed the 1 game for being suspended. Didn't get the greatest goaltending. Seattle got great goaltending from Grubauer. And I thought
Grubauer. That's a good goalie name. Grubauer. Grubauer.
He had a shit regular season, but he was really good in that first round.
Isn't that amazing?
It's crazy. And you look at the situation, and I didn't think Georgiev was good enough. And the depth is what killed them. And they're moving on. I mean, second year in the league, and they knock off. So in that, just yesterday, 2 game 7s in the first round, the defending Stanley Cup champions, now they're without Landeskog, they're not as good, they don't have Kadri this year, they get bounced in a game 7 by a year 2 expansion team.
Right.
And one of the best teams in the history of the NHL in the regular season gets bounced by a number 8 seed, 43 points in the rears.
Incredible.
I mean, that is a legendary day. And then tonight, you got Devils Rangers in a game 7.
Right.
To move on to the second
Rangers
round.
Jumped out to a 2-0 lead. You're thinking, they're going to
3-1.
They're going to waste the Devils. We're up 3-1, and now here we are in a game 7.
Or no, 2. You're right. They were up 2-0.
It was 2-2, I think, and then didn't they lose?
Yeah, then it went to 3-2 Devils, and then the Rangers won game 6.
Right.
But look, the Rangers won game 1 and 2 in New Jersey, 5-1 in both of them.
Yeah,
and then the Devils and Lindy Ruff got his teams. I think the Devils win tonight.
Wow.
So it's been incredible. I mean, these playoffs. I mean, I'll tell you, the NHL playoffs are just so good, and you see the tweets every year, and I get a bunch of messages from people going, "Well, watching these playoffs, it just shows you how far the Flyers are." It looks like that to every team that's not in the playoffs. Yeah. It just looks that way because the game is so different. Like the NFL is different in the playoffs, but not that much different.
No,
NBA's I think significantly different because every possession and the half-court game is so much more pronounced. Baseball, you're hanging on every pitch, so it's different from how you feel about it. But the NHL, from the actual what's happening on the field of play, is so different that it's incredible.
Right.
And it's all because of the cup.
Yeah, I put out a tweet earlier. I think it was early this morning. Stanley Cup playoffs, hashtag. where home ice and seating don't mean a thing.
They don't anymore.
Drama. They don't.
They don't. You're
doesn't.
totally right, Harry.
Yeah.
That used to mean you'd be like, "Oh my God, we have home ice. We're just going to waltz our way." Doesn't
Right.
matter. No. Hockey players don't give a shit about where it's being played. You can play it in Siberia.
Yeah.
On Neptune. Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
As long as on the ice somewhere is painted. Like I've always said that when you get to the cup final or even a conference final, because there's multiple cups, instead of that guy between the benches sitting there, like Darren Panger,
Panger.
They should replace Panger and just put the cup encased in there.
Oh.
So when the players change, they see what is on the line.
Well, that's only in the finals.
Well, you could do it in conference finals too, for the chance to get there to fight for it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's only one cup.
No, there's multiple cups.
Yeah, but then how do you know that if you have the Bobo Cup at your game, and then in the Western Conference, the Kraken have the real cup?
Well, that's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Just do it in the final then. Yeah.
Just do it in the
final. They should lower it from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Before every game, just so you could see that beauty, and you could see Philip Pritchard going out there with the mullet, the blonde-headed dude.
Oh, that guy. Is that what his name is?
Yeah, Phil Pritchard. He's got his Twitter's great. You got to follow him, Har.
Phil Pritchard?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's got the white gloves all the time. Yeah, he's always in his tux.
Job is the keeper of the cup.
The keeper of the cup. Now, what do you think that pays?
He's got to be making good. He travels all over the world.
Wow. I just found out today that Marcus Spears makes $2 million at ESPN. So what do you think Pritchard makes?
He's making 800 G's.
800?
800 grand, yeah.
What?
I mean, he's been doing it forever.
I'm thinking, I would go do that for $150.
Yeah, I would too, just to travel.
Of course.
You got to bring it over into the Czech Republic, and maybe you take a stop while you're over there into like Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those cool places.
Wow,
that'd be cool.
I'll tell you.
I'd be down with that gig.
So now with everybody that's out or who might be out, who do you think wins the cup now?
It's so hard. This is the hardest thing to handicap from a tournament perspective. So let's say that
I still like Carolina for some.
I like Carolina now to come. I think, but look out for, because what I don't know is this, and this is a huge factor when it comes to the East. When the Leafs finally advance past the first round for the first time since 2004, are those shackles off and look out?
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a very big factor.
How disappointing was Tampa Bay, though, man? Jeez.
Yeah, they look like a team that was tired and played
up
a ton
3 goals in the third period at home,
twice.
and they twice. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Twice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Vasilevsky didn't look like Vasilevsky. They look like a team that's played 100 playoff games in the last 3 years because they have.
Yeah.
And, they don't have the same depth that they had before. Hedman was so injured, and that's a huge factor. But if I'm making a pick right now, I'll say that Carolina comes out of the East.
Okay.
And I'll say that Carolina takes on the Dallas Stars, and I'll take the Dallas Stars to win the cup.
Wow.
I gave you Dallas a couple weeks ago.
You did.
And Ottinger in the first round.
Yeah.
They're deep, man. They're a good team.
Okay. There you go. That would be a good final.
Yeah.
Phil, hit on the Phillies here real quick, because before we get to the Sixers and Celtics, which starts tonight, by the way, Bryce Harper looks like he might return tomorrow in Los Angeles.
Early.
Yes. 160 days removed from having Tommy John surgery.
Wow.
Is this guy bionic or what? Is this a little too soon? Wow. I mean, what's the rush?
Is he playing the field or is he just DHing?
I think he's just DHing, but still,
I don't know.
They worry about him running the bases and sliding, and I know that was a concern.
He plays the game one way.
I know, that's the thing. This guy goes 120 miles an hour on everything.
I got to think that they're smart enough to know that they can't incur any added risk. He's just too important. And while you want him back, he's got to be able to come back and stay back.
Yeah.
So because they're not out of it. I mean, they're
I mean, they've rebounded. I mean, they won 7 of the last 10. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4 series in a row.
Yeah.
They took 2 out of 3 in Chicago against the lowly White Sox. They took Colorado, who stinks. But they won 3 out of 4 at home.
Turner's not even going yet.
No, they took 2 out of 3 from Seattle, and then they took. This was impressive, and this is where I took a lot of note here. They took 2 out of 3 in Houston. Okay, that and alone is really good. But the way they did it with Nola and Wheeler, and Nola's been struggling. He had an awful start. Going 14 innings between the two of them in the 2 starts, they only gave up 1 earned run
against a unbelievable lineup.
Against a really good team on the road in a bandbox. Okay. I mean,
that is not easy.
They won those games 3-1 and 6-1. You know how hard it is to hold the Houston Astros to 1 run, 2 games in a row at home?
Yeah, that's insane.
I mean, so that was really cool. They lost the Sunday nighter. Yeah, that's a good sign. Bryce Harper coming back. So people are pleasantly distracted right now by the Phillies, and it prevents them from staring straight into the abyss that is the Philadelphia 76ers and the second round playoff series against those Boston Celtics with an Embiid injury. It wouldn't be April, May NBA playoff season if it weren't filled with Joel Embiid drama.
Yep. And I find myself avoiding the topic of hearing about it and everything because I'm just exhausted by it.
I know.
Look, I don't know if it's his fault. Look, I don't know what it is. I don't want to blame the guy. But Jesus,
he's got some knee ligament.
Tired of this. Yeah,
there's some. It's like a PCL. What is it? An LCL? I didn't know how many CLs there are in your freaking knee. You got the ACL. You got the MCL. You got the PCL. Now you got what? The LCL. I mean, it's like alphabet soup. Alphabet soup. Unbelievable. But the Celtics are. Let's see. What are they? Minus 470. I saw early this morning to win the series.
Wow.
Okay. And they're plus 140 offshore to win it all. They're the favorites.
Wow. That's crazy.
With the Suns out there.
Yeah.
And, Denver.
I don't know if I buy into that.
Wow.
Maybe it's just because the guarantee of them getting to the final.
Yeah. With Milwaukee being out. I mean,
exactly.
But now everybody's thinking we can't forget about the Heat. You talk about the 8-1. The Heat took out Milwaukee. We talked last week about Jimmy Butler thinking that they would have to get to game 7 to win it, or no, game
6.
Game 6. They did it in 5.
Yeah, it's amazing
on the road.
What did you think of Giannis's press conference where he was asked about if the season was a failure?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to.
I thought he answered it brilliantly.
He's going to get criticized no matter what he says in that situation. But hey, is it a failure? I mean, the number 1 seed, you're arguably the best player in the NBA. And you're up against an 8 seed with home court advantage. You can't lose that series. It is a failure. I say it's a failure.
Yeah, I agree too. The reason why I like what he said, though, because he caught himself at one point and he said, I don't want to make it personal to the reporter. Like, he's just a really, to me,
I love him.
Cerebral guy.
Great
player and the whole
he's
thing.
Great.
But I just like the fact that he didn't get defensive look, the comparison with Jordan, winning 6 titles
and 15. Having 9 years where he didn't, it's a failure or something.
Yeah, that's not apropos because Jordan didn't lose to an 8 seed.
Right.
Right. That's different.
It is.
Losing to an 8 seed in the NBA is 3 times it's happened ever. Sixers did it one time against Chicago because they had Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose.
Yeah, and I think Denver Nuggets, I think they took out Seattle one time back in the 90s.
Yep.
But it doesn't happen often. But the Heat, and then the Heat come in. I watched the game on Sunday against the Knicks. They're down early. They looked lost. Brunson was tremendous. Hart was terrific for the Knicks early. And then you look at it halftime, they're down 5. And Jimmy Butler didn't even have a big first half. And you're like, man, this Heat team, there's something weird about this squad. They just don't go away. They just have grit. They got like sandpaper grit on that squad. And they end up pulling away. They had a big third quarter, pulled away, made a big run in the third and never looked back. They're up 1-0.
Team's taken on Butler's identity.
It really has. Yeah, it really has. And that coach is really good.
Yeah.
He's super. Golden State Warriors, they survived Game 7. Really disappointing effort out of Sacramento, but a tremendous Game 7.
Was shitting his pants.
From Curry. What did he go for 50? He drops a 50 burger on him in a Game 7. Basically won the game by himself.
God, I wish I wasn't annoyed by him, but I am.
Are you? What the chewing on the mouthpiece thing? That drives me nuts too. I don't know why.
Something about him just like Matthew Tkachuk chews on the mouthpiece. I love him.
Yeah,
but Steph Curry.
Well, you're a basketball hater.
No, I don't hate the NBA. I hate the hype.
You hate the hype. Yeah. Denver took out the Suns in game 1.
Yeah.
And Durant.
Playoffs
pretty cool.
Fucking great.
It is great.
Just awesome. Like this is a great sports time of year.
Now, what's the latest? Embiid was doubtful this morning. Is it the same? Or is this building up? Is he trying to do a Willis Reed in game 1 on the road?
He tries to do a Willis Reed all the time. That's why I'm nauseated by it. Yeah, I think he's going to miss game 1. And pending if they win game 1, they steal it. Yeah, and I don't think he'll play game 2.
You don't think so?
Just looking for the split.
Oh wow!
So
I think if you steal game 1, and he can go, he goes, and you try to get a 2-0 lead against that team. They're 9.5-point underdogs tonight. It was 10.5 this morning.
I don't like the number for either side, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't like it as a play. I don't like the Sixers getting that number, and I don't like Boston trying to cover the number. Really don't.
I would probably grab the points.
Maybe take a few extra.
If I had to, but I'm going to stay away. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to have to go out to a bar tonight to watch it.
Well,
I've been scouting out a couple of taverns.
Yeah,
I had one last week, Gators, but now I've found a couple more.
All right. So you got the advanced scouting on the bar?
I've done advanced scouting. Yes.
You're looking for scouting reports?
Yes, sir.
You're going to get in there and start directing.
Yeah.
That TV, Weather Channel off.
Right. What hockey is on tonight?
Well, you got the game 7. You got the Rangers and
the Rangers Devils. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now, did you see before we sign off? There were conjoined twins. This story in the New York Post.
Oh, you sent this to me.
Yeah, 2 conjoined twins. I mean, it's just so bizarre seeing these 2 girls. They're like, I guess, college age, and they share 2 legs and 2 arms, and they have 2 heads. They look like normal girls, like in their face and everything else.
Conjoined at the sternum, it looks like.
Right right here, but from the neck on up, both of them look totally normal.
Yep.
And apparently they share a vajayjay.
Yeah.
They got one. And the one girl, this one sister, has a boyfriend. The other does not. Now, you go on a date, the other girl's got to come with you. She's right there. This is so bizarre. Exactly. So bizarre. And I'm wondering, I don't know much about it outside of that, except this guy. Like, if you're the guy, aren't you just going on this as kind of a freak show thing to get your name out there and maybe get, you know what I mean? Like, the viral nature of things, and maybe something happened.
Yeah. My girlfriend's conjoined twin, like an episode of Hoarders, but it's conjoined twin. Days.
Right. On whatever network, it could, who knows anymore. I don't watch many of these networks anymore, but
great if the other girl had an extra hand too, like a third hand. That could be that could be fun.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, they share the parts.
So do they both have the feeling of the part?
I don't know. I would assume so. I mean, and does this count as 2 girls at one time? 2 chicks at the same time, man.
No, I mean, I think 1.5,
doesn't it? Because the other one doesn't really want any part of it.
Yeah, she's
like an unwilling. Hurry up. She's an unwilling contributor. Yes, you have got to move faster.
Yeah, let's get out of here already.
Let's get this over with, please. I got so many questions.
One brain has to be able to control the legs. Like, you can't have the one girl trying to stand still and the other one trying to move.
One wants to go this way, the other goes that way.
And the other one saying, "What do you want from me?
What do you want? What do you want from me?"
Yeah, I'm gonna need more. I'm gonna need more information on this one.
Yeah,
it's free.
Yeah, I think they're up in like the New York area, like Connecticut or something.
Okay.
I think. Yeah,
up there in Milford. Milford, Connecticut.
Yeah. Didn't you have some sort of trivia question?
Oh, yeah. I was watching the Sopranos, watching it again. I got a great one. I'll just throw it out there. And if anybody can answer it, they can DM me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an episode, I think it's season 4, when Carmine Bertazzi Sr. kind of sanctions a hit on John Sacramone because he won't get over the fact that Ralph Cifaretto made the joke about Ginny Sack having a 90-pound mole on her ass and that she could have it removed. So he wouldn't get over it.
Johnny Sack was so great.
Yeah. So basically Carmine sanctioned the hit and said, okay, he's not going to get over it. We got to move on. Too much money. There's the money again. What, for $1 million you get the fucker? So they got to go out of the family to make this, not fall back on anyone. And Johnny Sack travels from New York up to see his dad every once in a while, I think up in the Massachusetts area.
Okay.
Like every other week or something. So they're going to get him when he's on this trip. So Uncle Junior says, you should call the guys up in Rhode Island, Lou DiMaggio. And he tells the whole story about Lou DiMaggio, how he got the name, pummeled a guy's head with a baseball bat. Those dogs can still hunt, my young fella. And he says Lou DiMaggio's real name. He says his real name is blank. So somebody can get that.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. I have no idea. I've watched the series once. I don't know it or pretend to know it like you. Yeah. So there's no way that I would get this.
This one is very, and it's not a name like, some token Italian name or anything like that.
Right.
It's a name.
Now, would Mikey Miss get this? Would he?
Not even close.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. All right.
He would know the scene and Lou DiMaggio and the whole thing, but he would not know his real name. So somebody can get
All right. So that's tough because Mikey Miss knows The Sopranos pretty well.
He's always trying to stump me, and I crush him every time.
Yeah.
All right. That's episode 59, Howard. We said we weren't going to go long. We went long.
Yeah. I know.
But we'll be back again at some point this week. All right, everybody. Enjoy the next couple of days. We'll talk to you next time on the Odd G's podcast.
Go Sixers.